Ever stare at a dungeon room key that's like 6 words and your brain just goes, cool. So I'm supposed to perform the rest of reality now? What the hell? Same with Hexcrawls. The key says haunted monument, and your players immediately go, all right, we investigate. And suddenly you feel like you're supposed to have written the whole short story, a map, a ghost backstory, 3 puzzles, and a complete soundtrack. All right, maybe not the soundtrack unless you're Foogly, but that would be second nature for Jeremy. But here's the truth. Those sparse keys are not failure. They're seeds. Old school keys are written that way on purpose because the table is where the detail appears. Now, I understand it doesn't help when you're the Harry DM and the room is staring at you like you're an on-demand DoorDash driver for content. So today I'm going to give you a simple tool set to run Sparse Dungeon and Sparse Hexcrawl keys cleanly. With 2 sentence or so read-alouds and just enough what happens if they mess with it that you don't freeze up. And I'll show it with the Haunted Monument example because I'm sure that one gets folks. Most DMs panic because they think they need a mini novel. You don't. What you actually need is a first impression, what hits the senses, a clear handle, what the players can obviously do with it, and a consequence. What pushes back or what changes. That's it. 3 beats. If your key is sparse, you're not missing text, you're missing prompts. So here's the quick move that turns a sparse key into something you can actually run. What's obvious? The headline, the vibe, the weird thing. What can the party of players mess with? What can they touch or open or move or question or search, climb, bargain, along those lines? What happens if they do? What is the risk? What's the timer? What's the reaction? What's the big reveal? If you can answer those 3, you can run it. I know somebody's going, but all right, let's do it at the table. We're going to do the Haunted Monument, all right? It's a Hexcrawl mini micro scenario, but in any case, your Hexcrawl key says Haunted Monument, Night Whales, Treasure Buried. Now, that is classic Hexcrawl writing. And it's also the exact kind of thing that makes a DM's brain break out into sweat. So, we can expand it using the 3-line method. What's obvious? It's a monument. And it's haunted. What does that look like in play? Well, let's get one strong image. Could be a leaning stone obelisk with old carved faces. Maybe it's a ring of standing stones with a cracked altar, or it's a statue with the head missing and the hands outstretched. Pick one. Don't overthink it. So in this case, let's go with the stone obelisk. Half sunk into the hill, carved with worn, staring faces. All right. What can the party mess with? Let's make it physical and tempting. Now, what are our choices? Well, there could be freshly disturbed patch of earth at the base. Maybe there's a metal ring set into the stone like it once held a chain. Or there's a hollow behind it where offerings were once left. Pick one. In this case, I'll take disturbed earth. What happens if they do? If they do pull the handles, if they do mess with it? This is where you stop panicking and you start smiling. Because you only need one of these. You can use more, but you need a reaction, how the haunting responds, a timer, it escalates maybe if they stay, a reveal. They learn what this place is. So in this case, let's do a reaction and timer in the simplest possible form. If they dig, cold wind, whispering, and a visible sign that they woke something up. If they keep digging, the haunting gets personal. So now your 2-sentence read aloud is easy. Sentence 1 is the anchor. What is it? And sentence 2 is the oddity. What's wrong or what's strange? So let's work with this. The hilltop monument is a leaning stone obelisk. Its carved face is worn smooth by weather and time. At its base, the earth looks recently disturbed, and the air is colder here than it should be. That's enough. Stop talking. Let the party play. And they will say, we check the ground, or we dig, we look for tracks, we listen. You already have handles for them. So let's say they dig. And you say, as the shovel breaks the first clump of soil, the wind cuts hard and the carved faces seem less worn for a moment. Almost like they're paying attention. That's not a novel. That's one eerie detail. And then you give them a choice. They can keep digging, they can back off, or they can do something cautious. Maybe salt the earth or pray. Poke it with a burning torch, inspect for a hidden stone lid. All right. If they keep digging, start the timer. Every 10 minutes here, the wailing gets louder. Or each turn, if you're tracking that. Or each meaningful action, and make the haunting respond like it wants something. It doesn't have to be combat. It can be interference. Tools go missing, lights flutter, a PC hears their name being whispered, someone's pack strap unbuckles itself. And finally, reward them with something that is usable at the table. Buried coins are fine, but a better OSR reward is a lead. So instead of treasure 300 gold pieces, consider a small coffer with coins and a signet ring. Points to a family in town. Or a grave token with a symbol points to a cult or a temple or a faction. Or a carved map stone fragment points to a second site. See, now you've turned a 2-line hex key into a playable scene that creates momentum. And what did you not do? You didn't write the ghost childhood diary and 200 years of history because it wasn't needed. So here's the rule that keeps you from spiraling out of control with this. Read aloud is not lore. I'm going to repeat that for some people. Read aloud is not lore. Box text, if you want to call it that, is not lore. Read aloud is orientation. So, where are we? What's the weird thing? That's it. If you go longer than 2 sentences, you start stealing the player's curiosity. And you also start making promises that you can't keep. 2 sentences and shut up. If you need a third sentence, make it a simple pointer. The faces all stare toward the disturbed earth. That's not you asking anything. That's you aiming the flashlight. Now, there are some common mistakes with sparse keys. The most common one is you detail the backstory, but not the interaction. So you'll write, this monument was raised by the sorrowful kings of... And then your players immediately ask, can we move the obelisk? Is there a hidden compartment? What happens if we camp here? And you've got nothing because you prepped history, not play. So, what's the fix? Okay, for any keyed location, room or hex, all right? Because we're talking about both in this biz. Prep these 3 bullets. Obvious feature, the thing they notice immediately. Hidden feature only shows up if they search, they probe, or they risk something. Escalation, what happens if they linger or mess with it? And that's your whole prep. For the haunted monument, obvious, a leaning obelisk with worn faces, right? Disturbed earth, cold air. Hidden is the stone lid under the soil with a rusted chain ring. What's the escalation? Well, that the wailing intensifies. Carved faces turn towards a PC. Maybe a ghostly figure appears at dusk. None of that is a paragraph. It's all playable. Now, to bring it back into the dungeon, because dungeon keys can cause the same panic. A lot of classic dungeon keys are like Room 12, Broken Shrine, Rats. And you're thinking, so what do I say? Same method. 3-line expansion for a dungeon room. First impression. Light, smell, sound, shape. One thing they can mess with, something to open or touch or move. And one pushback could be a trap, reaction, consequence, timer. So let's delve into this. Okay. Again, the key. Broken Shrine. Rats. First impression. Cracked idol. Old incense stink. Scattered bones. What can the party mess with? There's an offering bowl with tarnished coins stuck in grime. Now, what's the pushback? Well, the rats aren't just pets. Something is driving them, or they're guarding a tiny crawl space. So, what is your 2-sentence read aloud for your players? The corridor opens into a small shrine room. The idol cracked down the middle and black wax dripped like tears along the stone. The stink of old incense hangs in the air, and something skitters behind the broken altar. Done. Let it play out. If they poke around, the rats swarm, unless the party offers food or backs off, or, like every party should be ready to do, they use fire. If they search, they find a crawl space behind the altar that leads to, well, something else. And that something else is the secret sauce. Keys should most often point to other keys. If you want a tool you can use tonight, here it is. All right. For every thing that you're going to be putting out, whether it's a room or a hex that you care about, write a tiny key card, an index card with these fields. Tag. With that tag, one word vibe. Haunted, flooded, fungus, war camp, idol, ash, whatever. First impression, one short line. Obvious handle, one short line. Hidden, one short line. If messed with, one short line. Reward, one short line. Lead out. What's the lead out? Well, that's the pointer, right? What's it pointing to? What's the next thing? And what is it going to give the players to think about further on? Further adventure. One short line, if there is a lead out. That's not over prep. That is anti-panic. Because when players do the one thing you didn't predict, you're not guessing blind. You've got a vibe, something to interact with, and a consequence. And you can improv the rest like a human being, not like a content vending machine. So, if you're staring at the clock, here's the 10-minute version. You can scribble before games. I will put this as a pinned comment for you, all right? Name it in 1 or 2 words. Haunted obelisk, bloodwell, sunken camp, whisper cave. Pick one strong image, one thing they'll remember. Pick one physical handle, whether it's digging or climbing or opening or push, pull, drink, read, whatever. Pick one danger response. Could be the reaction, could be a trap, an alarm, a curse, collapse, pursuit. Whatever fits your situation, whatever comes to you and you go, I think that works. Pick one reward that matters. Loot is fine, but that lead out is even better. Combine them. Pick a time route. That could be dusk or dawn or nearby patrol or noise or weather or exhaustion, wandering monster check, whatever. There's got to be a little pressure. Pick that one link. It doesn't have to be every time, but it certainly should be most of it, in my opinion. That link could point to town or point to a dungeon level or point to a faction, point to a family, point to history even. It should point the party towards something. If you do those things, you can run almost anything written in old school shorthand. So let's look at that haunted monument card. All right, we'll do it virtually. Tag, haunted, right? First impression, leaning obelisk with worn faces, cold rare. Obvious handle, disturbed earth at the base. What's the hidden? Stone lid with a ring. Old coffer beneath. If messed with, the wailing rises. Faces turn toward a PC and tools may start to vanish. The reward? Coins and a signet ring with a crest. And what's that lead out? The crest matches a respectable family in town who obviously do not want questions. So now you've got play in at least 3 directions, right? They can keep digging, they can take it to town, they can follow the crest to a reward or trouble or whatever. That's Hexcrawl magic. Okay, that's not because you didn't need to write a novel and have it waiting. You wrote handles. Those sparse keys are trusting you to do what old school play does best. Present the place. Let the players poke it and let the world answer back. If you can consistently deliver first impression along with something to mess with, plus consequences, you will look like you're thinking 10 steps ahead of your party, even when you're simply calmly running a procedure, a tool. If you want more tools like this, short, practical stuff that you can use at the table, hit subscribe. Thank you, and God bless.